Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to the late night series in Europe this time. My name is Elena, as I just said. I had a lot of coffee today, so please don't take everything that I say too literal, because I don't really know what I'm saying anymore. Anyways, it's been a long day. I was playing at Bochum and then my flights got cancelled and everything was an odyssey to come back here. But I'm back and ready to cast another exciting tournament of the late night series. Remember that the participants are competing for a chance to win a full paid trip to Japan. And we are not yet in the top 8, but let me tell you exactly how our standings are looking like. And also I will be checking in a while if there is anyone sharing their screen. I don't think we have a stream anytime. I don't think we have the stream available yet. So I'm just going to be, from the time being, we are going to be looking at the decks that are currently in the top positions and that will move to the second round. So it looks like, and this is very interesting, that right now the most played deck in top 8 is not going to be Lugia, but is Mew VMAX. We all know the power that Mew VMAX holds in the current format. It can draw a lot, and of course the combination between Judge and Path to the Peak is something that not many decks can survive. Even Lost Box has issues recovering from it. Then we have one Regigigas that I believe it's already locked. Talking about locks, we have Alex Schmanke. And sorry if I am not pronouncing the name correctly. I am really bad with pronouncing names. I think Schmanke. I will call him Alex, just like that. Who has decided to pilot a Vikavolt deck. Is also going to be playing in top 8. Then we have one player from Argentina with Lugia Arceus and Arceus Duraludons. Looks like these are going to be the players that we are going to be seeing today, which honestly I am very excited about that. So let me see, because I think that there is already someone sharing their screen. So, or maybe not. No. I'm sorry about that, guys, but no one is sharing the screen. It's kind of mandatory for those players that are advancing to top 8. So we only have 7 minutes left in the clock. So in the meantime, we are just going to talk a little bit about the format, if that is okay, and then we will turn in for action. So as I said, it is clear that the format is advancing in waves. We know that Lugia keeps dominating. In fact, it has won the latest European regional. Bochum was won by Lugia, and everyone was kind of expecting it. However, something that surprised me a little bit is the amount of Gudras that I saw during the tournament. And if you think about the deck, it makes kind of sense, because Gudra has one of the best pairings out there against Lost Box. Against Regis, which are also heavily played, at least in Europe. I don't exactly know the metagame spread in America, but I can guarantee you that many players decide to come here in the European scene with Regigigas and friends and with Lost Box variants. So Gudra is the perfect answers to those two decks. It also has a very close matchup against Lugia, even if Lugia can still win if they are able to pilot everything and if they are able to use Yveltal in the key turn of the game. And then what else? And against Mew, Gudra has more, I would say, an unfavored matchup, because of the fact that if Mew goes first, they can just go ahead, boss orders the Gudra before it even has the chance to attack. Then they can KO two small Pokemon, like maybe 2 Comfys, and then use the combo of Echoing Horn plus Boss's Orders to KO the last Gudra and get rid of everything. So yeah, that's what I saw. A lot of Regis, a lot of Gudras. I played myself Mew and didn't go that well. It was funny because whenever I used Path to the Peak and whenever I used Judge, I ended up breaking myself more than I could to my opponent. But it is what it is. with the latest announcement of Pokémon removing the mass restrictions in tournaments, maybe they open a door for hope, and that means that local play is going to come back. I am not entirely sure. So yeah, that's basically it. So 4 minutes left till the top 8 starts, and I am going to check again very quickly if we have any if there is something different. No, the only thing that I didn't mention, and I find it extremely interesting, is the fact that we are probably going to see an Eternatus going into the top 8. And this is great because Eternatus is one of my favorite Pokemons from the previous generation. It's true that now you are not playing really an Eternatus deck. It's more like a Wizzing log with Eternatus as a support Pokemon. But anyways, I am really looking forward to see all of these amazing players facing each other. So what I'm going to do is I will mute myself. I'm going to grab a glass of water, and yeah, just letting you know that if you have any comments, you can drop them in the questions panel here in YouTube. And of course that you can keep checking our awesome YouTube channel for more content related to competitive plays and also talking about what's going to happen post-rotation and all of that. So I will be back with you very soon. So see you in a couple of minutes. Okay, so guys, the final round has already finished, and I am now able to confirm you exactly the 8 decks that went into the top cat. And not only that, we are going to have our own Alex Manke sharing the screen with us. Alex is, by the way, as I said, playing Vikavolt. So let me see if everything is ready, because I'm going to jump straight onto it. Yes, that's what I'm going to be doing. So let me click here and let me adjust a little bit the screen so that we are ready. So a bit more, just bear with me for a few seconds, and there we are. So this is the first game of round of the top cat here, and we see Alex piloting a Vikavolt deck going against. I don't know why this doesn't look okay. Well, I'm going to leave it like that. So Vikavolt going against, I think it's Mew. Yes, exactly. So Mew against Vikavolt. This is a really tricky matchup because it's true that Vikavolt really hurts a lot of decks, but on the other hand, Mew is very powerful, and if they are able to find the energies in the moment they need it, as it is the case because Mew has already attached to itself a double colorless energy, then chances of Mew being able to KO one Vikavolt are very, very high. In this matchup, you have to rely on Drapion to be able to counter Mew, and then to be able to maybe use Boss's Orders onto a Genesect to seal the game. So Mew, what we are seeing here, is the one that started and is now going. Yeah, and they decided to go, as you can see, they decided to go first. And okay, sorry, oops, sorry about that, guys. I just needed to move this a little bit. Sorry for the messy or for the bumpy start. It's just that I want you to offer the best quality possible, and sometimes it is not that easy to adjust everything, especially live. In the meantime, while I am trying to get this sorted out, what you can see here is that Mew is setting up. They didn't open with Battle VIP Pass, but however, they were able to set at least double Mew and one Genocide, which should be maybe enough to KO something in the following turn, depending on Vikavolt's item lock and the capabilities that they have. Now, Alex has used Mew here to filter out the deck, and what looks like is that we are going to be seeing here a Battle VIP Pass, which is very powerful because it allows the player to set up perfectly. There are different attackers or different routes that Alex can go for. We see here the spicy 1-1 Aerodactyl line, which is not only going to be very powerful against Lugia, but especially relevant in this matchup. However, I can imagine that the reason why Alex has decided not to go for it is because Mew has already set up, so it might not be the best idea here. Now, Crobat is going to be grabbed with a Quick Ball, which is something very important because it's going to allow a proper setup. And maybe if you want to maximize the drawing power of Crobat, you could consider playing down the stadium, so to draw at least one more card. And I think that's the debate that Alex is going through. So yeah, exactly. Ditto was bench and Crobat was played. And it was a really good Crobat because now what happens is that the speed energy gets attached onto Vikavolt, and all that they need in order to attack this turn is to grab a Melony. However, remember that Mew can only grab item cards, so it's all going to be up to the Striking Shoes. And look at that. So Melony was not found. That means that Alex is kind of left without a lot of options here. At least this turn we are not going to see an attack. True that they still have Boss's Orders, so I think that's the appropriate play here, because if you use it on Genesect, now you are forcing your opponent to have a way to switch it from the active position. And now we see the most powerful weapon that Mew runs in the deck, which is none other than Judge. And look at that, so out of the Judge, Genesect, okay, so another Genesect, so now Mew is rolling, This will mean that this Genesect is not only going to provide some very welcome draw support, but the fact that they also draw the double turbo energy means that Genesect can manually retreat, and we are going to see an attack from Mew. However, looks like the attack that they are going for is Techno Blast, enough to KO that Mew. Now, Alex decides to promote Vikavolt, maybe trying to start the item lock going, recognizing that it might be difficult for Mew to attack the following turn. Oh, and lucky that. So Drapion, if they wanted, Drapion could potentially come at some point. During the game, it was grabbed via Hisuian Heavy Ball, and now Melanie has been targeted using Luminion's ability, so that means that they can attach the energy wherever they want onto the field, and that Vikavolt can attack. And other energy was now attached, and this is very interesting. The second speed energy was attached onto Vikavolt, maybe relying on Mew not having the possibility to attack the following turn, and maybe preparing itself for a sub cannon, maybe targeting down one of the benched Genesects. We see that the hand of Alex is full of options, but there are many cards that, either due to lack of space in the bench or other circumstances, cannot be played. Ooh, and this is very powerful. So Mew just decided to play the path to the peak and pass the turn, and this is a golden opportunity for Alex to keep pressing. Now, they need to be quick. They definitely need to do something about that Mew, because next turn Mew is going to KO that Vikavolt. Well, could potentially KO that Vikavolt if they find a way maybe to break the item lock, and it was a bit unlucky that they didn't get access to a choice belt, but I guess that was a bit asking too much. Now, Ditto transforms itself into Raikou, which is going to allow to activate the speed energy ability and get 2 extra cards from that attachment. And that's it, just a paralyzing bolt. I think that the strategy is, okay, you know what, I know that you're stuck, I know that without access to your item cards, you cannot KO my Vikavolt in just one hit because you don't run the Meloera version. This is a straight Mew, and double turbo energy makes you do 20 less damage. So I'm just going to sit here, chill down a little bit, and prepare the board for when I can just KO 2 Mews and win the game. In that sense, Mew has used a boss's orders to target Greninja, and I believe that this was done more in an attempt to draw cards than because they really needed to KO anything at this point of the game, because of course Greninja is not a menace. You can completely ignore it. True that it provides some consistency, but it's not that important. So Mew is now activating its ability. We see an air balloon being grabbed. Now another Mew is going to come into play, and if they really wanted to, and if they get access, if Alex access here to the Sky Seal Stone, they can use it onto Drapion, attach it, and get directly 4 turns in just one attack. Oh, and this is spicy because now Cross Switcher is available. Look at the amount of Mews that they went through. So they recognize that the other Mew is probably going to be a problem in the long term. So that's why they are catching it out. They are putting it into the active position. And now, if I am not mistaken, Raikou might be able to get a KO if they want it. Either Raikou or Vikavolt's Zap Cannon, because Oricorio is not on the field. So we see the deck being thinned out a little bit. There is still the possibility to play a supporter if they wanted to. So they are just going to promote Raikou, use the ability to get 1 extra card, and Lightning Rondo that deals the necessary amount of damage to KO that Mew V in the active position. And if Mew is not able to disrupt the hand of Alex, it is very, very, very possible that we see this game ending very soon, especially if they are able to find the Sky Seal Stone. However, the fact that Alex decided to attack with Raikou means that at least Mew is able to break free from the item lock, and that means that they can play all the cards that they want in the deck, draw a bunch of things, and possibly KO the Raikou. I think that the key here is whether Mew is going to be able to KO that Raikou and use possibly Back to the Peak and a Judge to try to prevent Drapion from coming. Drapion is now the biggest problem, the biggest threat, and the Pokemon that is going to make Alex win the game, win this matchup. So a couple of things going on here. We saw a lot of discarding, a lot of Ultra Balls getting played. I think that we also saw a Power Tablet. So that now ensures the KO on Raikou, and there it is, the Judge and the Back to the Peak. Very, very, very key. So Raikou is going to go down. A third energy had been attached to the bench Mew, and now Alex, I would imagine, will promote Mew in an attempt to draw some more cards. Now, of course, your goal here is to be able to bench Drapion, so you need to thin out your deck, because you already have in hand the possibility to search for Drapion, which is what I imagine that that Alex is going to do, but you need a way to remove Path to the Peak. So this is about thinning out the deck as much as possible. There are some options to draw cards because you still have Melanie in play, and you still can use Mew's ability, but look at that. That's a bit tricky. So Speed Energy will draw 2 more cards, and Mysterious Tail from Mysterious Tail will get the Sky Seal Stone. Now, they need that it is. They needed the Lost Vacuum, and finally they got it. So a card will be discarded, Back to the Peak will be removed from the field, and just like that, Drapion, proving why it is the best Mew counter in the format, is going to get 4 prizes, sealing the game against Mew. So that it is. It doesn't matter which Pokemon takes the 60 damage. 4 prizes. Drapion is incredible. If you are scared about Mew, that's exactly how you win against it. So Alex is leading 1-0 this top 8. And now we are going to see game number 2. So let's see how things go. I think that one of the keys here is that Mew was not able to set up very quickly, and also that turn where Mew missed the attack. But to be honest, any deck that runs a combination of Drapion and the Sky Seal Stone has a really, really good matchup against Mew. Ooh! And now that's not how you want to open up against Mew. I think that placing Aerodactyl into the active position was kind of like the lesser bad thing, if that makes sense, because you certainly cannot open with Drapion and risking Mew being able to use Lost City, so you will get rid of it, so you won't able to access it during the game, and Luminion is probably going to be used at some point. Luckily for Alex, there is the the Forest Seal Stone in hand, which might be used at this point to maybe grab a couple of Pokemon. I am thinking about Vital VIP Pass, but that will depend. So what we are seeing here now is that Mew opened with double Genesect and Chromomatic was played, and I would imagine that the card that was grabbed was none other than Battle VIP Pass, and this is huge. They opened with the Choice Belt, and the reason why this is so important is that regardless now of the item lock, if they are able to get an energy, they will be able to KO Vikavolt without needing to use any power tablets, and this is how you win against this matchup. But still, Drapion has a lot of things to say. And then we see Genesect for an additional 3 cards, and we are probably going to see, the turn ending. Ooh, so now things get even more difficult. Things are now more complicated for Vikavolt. You are going to be forced to use Star Alchemy in order to get back into the game, because with Path to the Peak being played, it means that Dominion does not have any ability, so you cannot do anything with it. Now, what are you going to find here? Do you set up? Do you use Battle VIP Pass? Maybe you try to find a way to remove the stadium with Lost Vacuum, or maybe you just go for a Marnie? Let's see. Let's see what's the choice from Alex here. So looks like it was decided that Marnie is the play. Okay, interesting. Maybe the energy will get attached to Aerodactyl, that's fine. Thictagon is going to be played. I would imagine that if they decided to play Thictagon, it's not exactly because they need it. It's rather because they want to somehow make sure that they don't lose the game in case that Marnie provides them with no out. And now everything is going to be up to what these trekking shoes provide them with, and also it is now up to it's basically up to Mew now. What are they going to find? Will they be able to get out of their own lock? And if so, how many turns are they going to buy? Oh, okay, that's good. So Lost Vacuum, I don't think that we are going to see the Lost Vacuum being played, because you want Mew to be locked, or to get not to have the outs. But that was unlucky. So Forest Sealstone, remember that this is a very powerful tool that can be used even under Path to the Peak. So depending on what Mew has here, I think that the biggest challenge or the biggest problem that Vikavolt can find itself in is whether they are able to target it down with Boss's Orders, and it looks like this is what is going to happen, or at least this is the direction in which they are going. And now Chromomatic hits head, finding a piece that maybe they are missing, whether that piece is Boss's Orders or maybe the Max. No, so this is going to be a Boss's Orders for sure. So Power Tablet, there is still one Genesect left to be used. Have they found the Boss's Orders? Oh my god, so they have it. They have the Boss's Orders, and Alex here recognizes that it's impossible to beat the Mew matchup without Drapion on the list, and especially because there is no way to recover Drapion. Remember that it does not go to the discard pile, it just goes to the Lost Zone, and there is no way to use Ditto's ability to transform back into Drapion and attack again. So at this point it was very, very difficult to get back into the game. So game number 3, the final one and most decisive. Okay, so in this case I would imagine that Alex is going to go first. That's it. And they opened, the opened is not the one that you dream of. But, well, at least this is good. At least now you have a quick ball that can turn into a Luminion in the following turn, if you really, really wanted to. So they are going to go ahead and use it, and looks like Crobat. It's going to be Crab. So Air Balloon gets attached to maximize the drawing power of Crobat. Radiant Greninja immediately hitting the field. And now Greninja is going to be providing some very, very consistent draws during the entire game. And energy gets discarded, Mew, Trekking Shoes. So you're already pretty much set up. Now it will depend if you want to keep the energy or not. So that's pretty much it. So the turn ends here. And now it's... Oh, that's weird. So Aerodactyl from Mew hitting the bench. I wonder if that's something that they... Oh my god, no! Oh my god, Mew has freaked really, really, really hard. This is a golden opportunity for Alex to get very ahead of the game, because if they start item locking Mew at this stage without access to Ultra Balls, without access to Battle VIP Pass, to Cramo and all of that, it might be just the end of the game. it might be just it. And on top of everything, they have boss's orders for the next turn. Things are not looking great precisely for Mew right now. And it reminds me of my running budget. Anyways, so now Hisuian Heavy Bolt is going to be played, but I'm not entirely sure if they really want to do a lot of things instead for drawing and potentially setting up. I think that we are going to see Alex here continuing with the item log. That's what you need to do. True that one Mew VMAX is already evolved and it's waiting on the bench, but it does not really matter. You have a lot of options to deal with it, and most importantly, you have a lot of time. They're in a really bad position. So I would imagine that they are going to continue with Paralyzing Bolt. Let's check it. And Quake Bolt is still available to be played. So Mew is going to get discarded, and they get Zapdos here. Zapdos from Pokemon Go that helps your Lightning type Pokemon deal an additional 10 damage. So exactly, Paralyzing Bolt. Still no items available for the poor Mew player, and I'm not sure the options that Mew has here. Maybe we will see an energy attachment, but apart from energies and apart from potentially the capability of drawing into Judge, there is not much here. So very interestingly here, the energy got attached to Aerodactyl, which means that as long as Aerodactyl is still on the field, Vikavolt won't be able to use any ability from the Pokemon. But it does not really matter, because if you just decide to KO Aerodactyl, you are back having the abilities. And I also feel that we are kind of in a checkmate scenario, because if once you are able to take Aerodactyl down, which is something that is going to happen very soon at some point in 2 turns more or less, then the issue is that you can easily get the Sky Seal Stone plus Drapion combo. That's it, and you win the game. Oh well, no. Oh no, yes, you win the game, because the Forest Seal Stone has still not been used. So now they decided to retreat the very heavily damaged Aerodactyl, and if they wanted to, they could play the Zapdos. And no, so it was decided not to play the Zapdos. So all that is separating Aerodactyl from falling down is 10 damage counters, which can be achieved also via Zigzagoon, which will force Mew to be in the active position. So let's see what Mew is able to do here. Nothing, not looking great. I'm not going to lie, things are not looking precisely great for Mew here. Another energy gets attached onto Mew, and now Zigzagoon is going to come, it's going to finish off the poor Aerodactyl. 2 more cards are going to get added into the hand of Alex. And now what are we going to be seeing here? Still no space for Drapion, but they have all the time in the world. So that's what we are going to see. Another Paralyzing Bolt, and you can just keep spamming Paralyzing Bolt and then finish things off with Raikou. Oh, look at that! Without Genesect on the field, Mew cannot even attack. Because there is no other Fusion Strike Pokemon to use to power up. So okay, so another Zap Cannon, and I think that we can all agree that this game is very close to the over. Very quick game. No, not quick in terms of the amount of minutes that it lasts, but most of the issue is that most of the things that Mew was able to do was just to pass the turn. So Ultra Ball is going to grab Drapion, which happens to be the only Pokemon left in the deck. And Speed Energy, I guess that they are trying to find the Scoop Up Net at this stage, because if they find it, they basically win. But no Scoop Up Net, well, there is still another chance if they really wanted to. Well, so Marnie gets played, also disrupting a little bit the hand of Mew. And there is the Scoop Up Net, and look at that, there is also the possibility to get to grab Drapion in case that they really want it, but I think that is not going to be necessary, because just like that you reach the necessary amount of damage that you needed, and with the Sky Seal Stone in play, it will let you take one more prize card, and just like that, Vikavolt advances into the top 4. Wow. Really interesting game. I loved how both players decided to play it out. At the end of the day, it all came down to who had what, and also I think what really makes the difference is whether Mew is able to set up properly and get access to the choice belt as soon as possible, or whether Vikavolt and the item log is going to be too much, to a mountain too high to be climbed. But since we have already discovered who is the player advancing to the top 4, I see that there is another game being streamed here, so why not check it out? I think it's going to be a really great opportunity, and I'm going to also take advantage to center myself a little bit. So now let's see the other game that is now being played directly on stream, and in this case it's a complete different matchup. We see Mew going against Duraludon. I would say that Mew has the advantage here, but that depends on the amount of the amount of of Drapions that Duraludon run. So I am not exactly familiar with what we are seeing. I imagine that this is at least game 2. We see that Arceus had already been played, that a Lost City is in play, and that Mew is exerting a lot of pressure at this point, and they only need basically 2 KOs to win the game. Let me check very quickly these players and what is the score right now. So the scores seems to be, if I am not mistaken, 1-1. Exactly. So they go 1-1. So whoever wins this final game will advance into the top 4. Very interesting. So let's see if Arceus is able to come back into the game. The key here is going to find a way to heal off the damage of that Duraludon, and that's something that can be effectively done with Hyper Potion. Ooh, and that is also very interesting, the fact that they played here Temple of Shino. That's really powerful, because it shuts down the possibility of attacking with Mew. However, if Mew is able to remove that stadium and KO that Duraludon, they will only need to get one more attack, to KO the Arceus on the bench and go from there. But so far, for what we are seeing, no way still to remove the stadium. And looks like the Forest Seal Stone has already been activated. So my bet here is that we are going to see we are going to see Mew trying to thin out the deck as much as possible. Another possibility here would be to play Escape Rope and maybe force the Arceus on the bench to come into the active position, but looks like no. Instead of that, what we are going to see here is just a Serena, not for the casting effect, but for the drawing effect. And they are now able to find what they were looking for, which is the Path to the Peak, which shuts down the ability of Duraludon. And if I am not mistaken, Mew VMAX can now reach the amount that they needed to KO Duraludon. And now Mew is just missing one more KO to basically win the game. However, things might not be as easy, since Arceus is still looking healthy, and if we see some disruption, some hand disruption from the opponent, Mew might have some issue, because it's clear that this Mew is not going to last very long. So we see a Trinity Nova here, which This is lagging a little bit. So now the only problem is that the Mew on the bench had everything that needs to KO Arceus. So all that they need to do is to play the double power tablet, and with the choice bell that is already attached, it's more than enough to reach the 280 damage that Arceus has. So GG to Mew, it advances to the top 4. So we already have the 2 semi-finalists, Arceus, Duraludon, and Alex Schmanke with Vikavolt. So really interesting game. We didn't get to see all of it, but was pretty good, right? Was pretty good. I personally enjoyed a lot. So let me check very quickly how. Let me go back. Oh well, you know what? This is a stream, and we're going to continue with it. And since we have the advantage and the privilege of all players sharing with us their screens, we are now going to see the other top 8 match that, by the way, I was really hoping that we would get to see on the stream, because it features a very unique deck that I love, and it's Electric Arceus. Well, I was trying to think of a more creative name, but nothing popped up. So that's why I'm going to call it Electric Arceus. Basically, it's a really interesting deck that is an Arceus build, but the combination is with Flying Pikachu, which is one that we are all used to see, and very interestingly with Tapu Koko V-Star. So, and it's going against a Regigigas deck. Now, the key here in this matchup is, of course, to be able to power up as soon as possible your Flying Pikachu and hope that your opponent is not able to access a weird combination of Escape Rope plus Serena or Escape Rope plus Boss's Orders to get rid of the combo of the lock and KO Flying Pikachu. And let me check very quickly how are things standing between these players, because if I am not mistaken, they are going 1-1. So yeah, just in time, we have arrived into the decisive game. I wonder who is going to advance and who will get the victory. Back to the Peak has been played, which will prevent the by the way, the Japanese player, who is the one playing Arceus with Flying Pikachu, from using the V-Star ability. So there are different options here. They can either opt for a more conservative approach and just to use Arceus V-Star Trinity Nova to power up Flying Pikachu and maybe even disrupt things a little bit with Boss's Orders or forcing the opponent to play something that they don't want into the active position. Or they can just go ahead and Marnie, hoping to get something additional. So those are the two options going on right now. Those are the 2 options, and looks like Marnie is the preferred one. So nothing too useful here, except for the Parasol, if trekking shoes, which draws another trekking shoes, and the player is considering to just go ahead and Trinity Nova. Okay, so that's it. Now, the biggest threat that Regigigas has is Flying Pikachu and is ready to go and ready to start attacking. It is clear that now Regigigas needs to set up, needs to power up, in this case, Regirock, which is the one that can KO Arceus because it attacks for weakness, and then looks like Regidrago's ability is going to be used to draw some extra cards and try to find the missing Regi that will let Regi attack. However, they are still missing, if I'm not mistaken, 1 Aurora Energy for that to happen. I mean, you can, if you really wanted to, I guess that you could attack with Regigigas, but maybe that's not the best thing that you want to do in this position, especially because it won't be enough to even KO Arceus. So now Professor's Research is going to be played, and in hopes, I would imagine, to discard an Aurora Energy. And I must say that I absolutely love the Bullpix sleeves that we see here in the stream. So Regigigas is going to power up, interestingly, is going to power up the Regidrago, but very unluckily for the Regigigas player, nothing was drawn, nothing that would allow Regidrago to even attack. So, it means now that Flying Pikachu is able to start attacking. And how many Ultra Balls did they see with that, with that Colorless experiment? The only issue that I see here is that Arceus VMAX is not on the field, but not that you need it, because as long as you have Flying Pikachu on the field, you should be pretty much saved. So we see here a couple of I was going to say that we see some Trekking Shoes being played, and every Trekking Shoes that we have seen so far has given a copy of a card that was already in hand. So at this stage, I think that, yeah, you just go for Max Balloon, you KO the Regidrago. Well, you don't KO the Regidrago, that's true. You don't KO the Regidrago because it has the Cape of Thoughtness attached. But that's pretty much it. You now hope that your opponent does not find a way to get out of the lock. True that they can still attack, or they can still use Regieleki to damage the Pokemon that you have on the bench, but still that's not going to take them very far away. So as I am saying, the only way for Regigigas to overcome this kind of situation is to play Escape Rope plus a casting card effect, or I know that there are some Regis that had decided to run Jailhorn, the one that confuses the active Pokemon, but it's not that it's going to really matter because Flying Pikachu can easily retreat, and we know that the Japanese player is running Escape Ropes, so it will just be useless. Looks now that the Pokemon that it's going to attack is precisely, yeah, that's it. So Regieleki attacks, and that was a very powerful move because it dealt 120 damage to the benched Pikachu. I'm going to check very, very quickly, allow me, because I want to see the deck list of Arceus with lightning types to see if they run any sort of healing options, and looks like they don't. I was maybe looking for some hyper potions, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Now Flying Pikachu of course gets back into the active position, and in this time they are going to get the KO on Registeel. They still have the possibility to use Possess Orders if they really wanted to, or even Marnie to maybe disrupt a bit the options of the Regi player. So let's see here. Everything is going to come down to whether Regis have the possibility to deal with Flying Pikachu or not. That's basically all that this is about. So the Marnie, by the way, was not the best Marnie ever, but at least I guess that you can thin out your deck a little bit. You're going to be discarding, so the player is going to be discarding 2 cards and gaining 1. Tapu Koko V? No, Arceus. Okay, so Arceus V. Okay, Arceus V now hits the field. Remember that Path to the Peak is still active, which means that Arceus cannot use its V-Star ability. And we see the first KO now from Flying Pikachu. Regidrago gets promoted into the active position, mainly because it has a really, really good ability that will draw some cards if needed. And looks like nothing. No, things are not looking exactly great because the player decided to bench a second copy of Regieleki in an attempt to draw more cards, which is a pretty interesting choice. Now Regidrago is going to go down. It is clear that if you're Flying Pikachu, you need to attack. You cannot allow your opponent to break free of this lock. So we just see an attack and Gift Energy being activated, which is going to provide the Regi player with all the cards that they can ever wish for. Now, I would imagine that the only reason why the second copy of Regigigas was decided to be played is because they have access to a Scoop Up Net, and they are going to replace it soon. Now, and also the other possibility is that they are just going to use Regigigas to put back cards into their hand until they have the possibility to get rid of Flying Pikachu. Remember that Regigigas has an ability, the first attack allows you to recover, if I am not mistaken, one item card from your discard pile to your hand. And this is what we are going to be seeing right now. Let's see what is the one that it's picked. So Serena, okay, very, very, very interesting. So no, it was a trainer card, not an item card. So let's see what happens here. Not much from the opponent at this stage. So they are recognizing that clearly it is a problem if they are able to use that combination once again. So they decided to target down Regigigas. So I would imagine that at this point we are going to be seeing some recycling cards from Regigigas, maybe some rod. If I am not mistaken, one rod had already been used or had already been discarded. A Choice Belt gets attached and a Marnie. By the way, the Regigigas player is down to 14 cards, just 14 cards in the deck. Another, how many boss's orders have we seen from this player from Flying Pikachu anyway? So Rod is now played, shuffling back Regidrago and Regigigas. Ooh, and still no attack. So this is huge. This is huge. So Regigigas just takes Serena back from the discard pile. Now the player looks like they are considering benching Tapu Koko V. By the way, I think that we can all agree that the Tapus are one of like the coolest legendary Pokemons ever designed. Anyways, a second copy of Turbo Energy gets attached onto Arceus, and you have the possibility to either use Boss's Orders or Professor's Research. So I imagine that you can still, if you target the Regirock, you are kind of forcing your opponent to use the remaining copy of Ordinary Rod to recycle it. So let's see if the opponent is able, if Regis is able to pull a combination of cards that will allow them to deal with Flying Pikachu and to recycle their Regis. No, looks like they are brick, so they are just going to go for another attack with Regigigas. But I think that at this point we can agree that the game is looking very, very, very bad for Regis, because all that the Flying Pikachu deck needs to do is attack once more with Arceus to seal the game, and that's how now we have the complete top 8. Wow, very interesting deck. Really cool to have the possibility to see it on a stream. I think that this is definitely a very underrated deck. And let me check now the status of the pairings, because if I am not mistaken, we already have the top 4. So, you know what? We are going to keep looking. If you are okay with it, we are going to keep looking at Arceus with Tapu Koko, just because I think it's a very unusual deck to see. It's very funny, it's really original, and it is capable of doing great things. So we are going to keep looking at the screen of this player, and it is going to face in the top 8, our very own Alex. So that's going to be a very, very interesting pairing. Vikavolt against Arceus with Flying Pikachu. How are things going to turn out? So give me a second and we will come back for more action. Oh well, actually, the game is just started. So let's check it out. So there we go. We are seeing everything from the perspective of Arceus with electric type attackers. And looks like the one that is going to go first is precisely Arceus, which is what you want to see here, of course. Now, ooh, oh my god, look at that hand. Hand is terrible. Hand is, I mean, at least I guess that you can say that you have the possibility to attack turn 2 with Flying Pikachu, but you definitely don't want to see something just like that. There are too many useless cards in your opening hand, and that's pretty bad. So I think that in this stage, all that you can do is to attach 1 energy to Flying Pikachu and pass the turn. Not looking exactly great, but what are you going to do? Yeah, so it was decided that Path to the Peak is going to be played, which I think is a good option because you are blocking the possibility of using things like Crobat and Luminion. But it does not look to be a problem for Alex because he opened with none other than Battle VIP Pass, which is a very powerful card. And, ooh, are we going to see a turn 1 KO? That would be so incredible. I feel that there is the possibility of that to happen because remember that Flying Pikachu is, if I am not mistaken, is weak to lightning. So if you're able to fill out your bench, you find a way to remove the stadium from the field and you get access to Melanie, you basically win the game in just 1 turn. Oh my god, like how crazy is that? How absolutely crazy would that be? Okay, no. So at least we get to enjoy a little bit more. We get, oops, sorry, I think I moved it. So we get to enjoy a little bit more of action. And now, ooh, things had completely changed because Flying Pikachu is the only Pokemon on the field. So there is no possibility to use Boss's Orders or to use Cross Switcher. They cannot even activate Horn in case that they played it. So I think like this is the ultimate lockdown situation. I am trying to think if there is a possibility for Vikavolt to get over a lone Flying Pikachu. I'm going to take a look at the list again, but maybe this is it. Let me check very quickly, unless I am missing something that I am not seeing exactly. All that they run are basic Pokemon. Well, it's true that there is still one possibility, maybe, if you really wanted to, there is still one slight possibility, which is using Ditto to transform it back into the Aerodactyl and then manually evolve into Aerodactyl V-Star and attack. But that's the only situation that's the only out that I say. I'm not sure if I am missing something. And looks like this is exactly what is going to happen. So Ditto getting prepared to transform back into the Aerodactyl. But what do you do at this stage? Also, if you're in this situation, if you are the Flying Pikachu player, what do you do? Do you keep attacking or do you try to set up other attackers knowing, as you know, that your opponent can pull off a combination of multiple cross switchers or cross switchers plus Boss's Orders and directly KO your Pikachu? So that's going to be very tricky. That's going to be very tricky. I feel that on the one hand you want to have different attackers ready, but on the other, I feel that this could be risky. So maybe what you want to do here is to kind of rely on the fact that your opponent is not going to be able to evolve the Aerodactyl soon enough for you to somehow then have time to disrupt their hand. But I'm not entirely sure because if you look at Alex's hands and at Alex's hand, they have like 20 cards? Well, maybe not 20, but at least 10. So Lost Vacuum is going to get rid of the Path to the Peak, which means that Aerodactyl is probably going to hit the field again. And now, if they have the basic energy, the basic fighting energy, and the V-Start in hand, it can attack Flying Pikachu. And I need to check very quickly because I have forgotten how much damage. Oh, so it deals 240 damage. Pretty good and consistent damage, to be honest. So, yep, very, very good. And there it is. So Aerodactyl hits the field. Aerodactyl V max hits the field. Now, the question that I have is it going to be able to attack this turn? Because I have the feeling that it will. It will be able to do so. So, a couple of scoop up nets being played here. Air Balloon, Mew is going to be able to activate the ability. Crobat now free of the Path to the Peak lock, will draw some cards. Sky Seal Stone, very powerful as well. Greninja, oh my god, so many things going on right now. All that they need to find is the copy of the energy, which by the way, they only run one, but that's the only thing that they need. Sky Seal Stone gets attached to Crobat, and I would imagine that they are going to try to get away for Aerodactyl to attack right now. I think that they have not used the supporters, so Melanie is going to target Aerodactyl, and I am pretty sure that we are going to see the basic energy. The basic energy being played, I would imagine, or maybe they are digging for it. So Trekking Shoes. Oh man, I really, really, really wish that we could see both hands. No! Oh, that's huge! That's absolutely huge. So Aerodactyl missed the attack. Now, if Pikachu is able to target down Aerodactyl, if Pikachu is able to use Boss's Orders onto Aerodactyl, then they basically win the game. They basically win the game because Aerodactyl will need 2 attacks to KO Flying Pikachu. And Flying Pikachu also... Oof, I feel that you can still thin out the deck if you really, really wanted to. I feel that's something that you can do, but no, it looks like they have decided to go for... Oh, and look at that, there is the Boss's Orders. So if they target down, if they attack Aerodactyl now, that's going to be huge, because Flying Pikachu will KO Aerodactyl in 2 attacks, but since... I mean, they both KO each other in 2 attacks, but whoever attacks first has the advantage. So I feel that the play here is use Boss's Orders onto Aerodactyl, which is the real problem. Or maybe they just get for the easy KO on Crobat and then rely on getting another Boss's Orders. Okay, no. So that's what we have seen here. They target down Aerodactyl, and Alex recognizes that it was the only way to get out of the Flying Pikachu lock, and that's it. Just like that, Flying Pikachu single-handedly won the game. That's something that you don't see very often. It was funny because I was saying at the beginning that that the opening hand that they had was not precisely good, and turns out that this is how they ended up winning the game. Okay. So now we are going to go into game number 2, and to no one's surprise, the one that is starting is Vikavolt. So Alex is going to go first. And now with the advantage, this of course provides him with a ton of advantage, because you can use you can even use your cross switchers to KO Pikachu before it even attacks. So Ditto is the one that appears in the active position. And how many mulligans did Alex receive? Like 3 or something like that. So Battle VIP Pass gets played. That means that they are going to properly set up. And so Greninja and Mew, which are of course like the go-to options at this stage. Aerodactyl, very interesting. So Aerodactyl decides to make an appearance on the bench because it's clear that it's a very difficult Pokemon to deal with. Now, I guess that the challenge here is to access the lone fighting energy that you run, but hey, this deck draws a lot of cards. So we see some cards getting discarded, Raikou gets grabbed via Quick Ball, and now it's the turn for Arceus to play. I would imagine that at this stage, maybe what you want to do here is just to use Path to the Peak and Marnie your opponent. So in that way you are disrupting a little bit their hand. And also you get the possibility to possibly draw into another attacker, like maybe Flying Pikachu or another copy of Arceus, and use Trinity Nova to power it up. So that's exactly what we have seen. Marnie gets played, and well, at least they get a way to search for a Pokemon. So either they bench the Tapu Koko V or they play Ultra Ball to get something. So Trekking Shoes first is going to discard a Marnie, and Tapu Koko V is going to hit the field. Now, the only risk that I see here is that there is going to be a dead Ultra Ball in your hand, but I understand that what they decided to do at this stage is to directly use Tapu Koko V Max to put the pressure. The only risk or the only problem that they might encounter in the long run is that remember that Tapu Koko V, if I remember correctly, is weak to fighting. So that means that it will easily fall against Aerodactyl. Item lock now combined with Escape Rope has been played, and are we going to see? Yes, so Tapu Koko V Max hits the field, and we are going to see an attack. We are going to see definitely an attack. There is the possibility for this player to play Boss's Orders, but I wonder if they play Boss's Orders, what are you targeting exactly? Maybe you want to target down Ditto, or maybe you want to target down Aerodactyl at this stage, because I feel that attacking Vikavolt might not be the best option here, but I am not entirely sure. So there are different options. Good thing for the Arceus player is that Vikavolt does not seem to have a lot of resources, so that Marnie was pretty much effective. So let's see. Either you continue to set up, or you use Boss's Orders here. And looks like Boss's Orders is going to be the preferred option. And just like that, two prizes are grabbed. Ditto goes down, which means that there is only going to be one Aerodactyl on the field. However, that gives Alex the possibility to use Mew and to keep drawing cards. So we are going to see here what looks like a couple of Scoop Up Nets and another Paralyzing Volt from Vikavolt. Okay. Now, because of the item lock, there are not many things that can be played. So yeah, they are just going for a straight research, as Marnie is not exactly what you want to see here. And I would imagine that they are going straight for an attack, unless they want to use Temple of Shino. However, if they use Temple of Shino, they risk them being able to use Luminion and being able to use Crobat to draw cards. But on the other hand, true that if they are rigged and you use Temple of Shino, that Vikavolt won't be able to attack because you are negating the effect of the speed energy. So let's see. There is a decision at some point, so they decided to leave Path to the Peak on the field, which I feel that is a good play, and just attack and put the pressure onto Vikavolt. Ooh, so Aerodactyl has found the energy. I wonder if what we are going to see here is an attack from Tapu Koko onto the Aerodactyl, or worst case scenario, what you can do is to retreat the Tapu Koko and attack with Arceus, but the truth is that Arceus is also weak to fighting. So at some point maybe you just want to sacrifice that Tapu Koko, kind of accept the fact that it's going to go down at some point, and then finish what you started with Arceus. Maybe that's what you want to do here, I don't know. So an energy gets grabbed, it gets attached on the bench Vikavolt, and so Alex here deciding to preserve the Aerodactyl no matter what. Okay, very interesting. So that Vikavolt is going to go down, and This is going this is looking very closely, very closely, but I feel that Arceus still has an advantage here. I feel that Arceus still has an advantage here because of the fact that it can power up a second attacker, and even if Vikavolt is able to KO that Arceus on the field, then the only way to do so is by evolving Aerodactyl, and that Aerodactyl is heavily damaged. So all that you need to do at this stage is to power up a second attacker, and that's it, to close the game. And looks like there are enough energies to do that. So let's see. This is very interesting. I am liking this game so far a lot. The choice looks to be between Arceus V or Tapu Koko V. So that's the decision that has to be made with the Quick Ball. So Arceus V. Okay, Arceus V is going to be the choice. And look at that. They are going to replace the stadium. However, remember that if they replace the stadium, that Arceus won't be able to attack. It can still use Starbirth. So maybe that's what they are prioritizing, right? That's what they are prioritizing here? To use a Starbirth? However, they need to get another energy. Okay. So that it is. So what they have decided to do, and I was kind of missing it, but now I see it clear. They are just going to remove one big threat from the field, which is the Aerodactyl, and attack over it, and then you leave just one heavily damaged Vikavolt, and that's it. All that is separating you from the finals. Yes, that was for sure a really great move. And this reminds us of how powerful Arceus B is as a card. It's probably the best card of the entire Sword and Shield era, I would dare to say. So Trinity Nova KOs that unevolved Aerodactyl and powers up another attacker. And let's see if there is a way for Alex to come back into the game, but things are not looking very positive here at this stage, because you will need to find another attacker that is not that Vikavolt V. If you put that Vikavolt in the active position, you are doomed to lose. So you need to find a Melony and an energy to attack with another one. But even if you do that, you won't be able to KO that Arceus. So Arceus has a lot of time to take those remaining two prizes. So we see Vikavolt hitting the bench, some trekking shoes being played, another Mew, Scoop Up Net that it's going to allow to draw some more cards, Mysterious Tail, Cross Switcher. Okay, maybe that's the point here. Use Cross Switcher and try to stall a little bit, placing the unevolved Arceus V into the active position, but no, it was just too much pressure. I think we can all agree that this has been a great game, very well played from both players, but in all honesty, Arceus is a really good contender against this type of pickable decks because they have Arceus has a ton of HP. It can accelerate energies. It is kind of immune in a sense to pass to the peak, and it gives them a really difficult time. So great game. We have now our first finalist, which is absolutely amazing. And now I am going to check the status of the second semi-final game, and let me refresh very quickly. So I think that Lugia is leading 1-0 against Mew. So allow me to very quickly take a quick sip of water, and we will go and see how this final game is looking like. So I'm going to mute myself just for a minute, be back, but I will leave you with the game. Okay, so I'm back, and look at that. Ooh, this is not looking precisely great for Lugia, because it looks like this Path to the Peak was more than enough to shut down every possibility of finding Arceus. And if they are able to KO that Lugia before Arceus hits the field, oh man, that is going to be incredible. However, remember that they need access to at least two copies of Power Tablet, and I don't know how many of them are there. So it looks like 3. 3 are still on the deck, but only 14 cards left in the deck. Oh, okay. So, well, that's it. That it is. Oh, so double Power Tablet plus the Choice Belt. I think it's more than enough to get the KO, if I am not mistaken, because it's 90 plus. Yeah, exactly. That's the perfect amount of damage that you needed to do. So all that I'll go first. Okay, so we see here how Lugia decided to just scoop. No wonder why. And at this stage, what we see is they are going to go for a third and decisive game. Very interesting. So third and decisive game to determine who will be the finalist facing Arceus, Tapu Koko. So Mew or Lugia? Let's see. Mew or Lugia? Very, very interesting one. Looks like Lugia is going to go first, right? It has chosen to go first. So the way in which you're able to beat Lugia if you're Mew is you have to basically prevent them from activating the V-Star ability, which is something that, of course, is easier said than done. You need to rely on finding Path to the Peak, turn 1, and possibly combining it with Judge. Now, if Lugia is able to somehow get access to, say, Pumpkaboo or Los Vacuum, and they are able to just activate the V-Star ability, it's very possible that you lose, because they have, they can power up Lugia with all the powerful energies in the world and KO one Mew, and then the second Mew is going to go down with the attack of Amazing Yveltal. But let's see what happens here. So Mew is the player that has gone second. We see here Quick Ball being played, discarding one Archeops, which of course is very good. And I would imagine that we will see here Lugia, or maybe even an Oranguru, which is the card that provides you with the most consistency and also kind of helps you break free from the Path to the Peak lock. But let's see. It's clear that the Lugia player is checking the deck and making sure the amount of energies that are there, if Pumpkaboo is still there, if there is a way to remove Path to the Peak. And actually, I'm going to very quickly check the deck list and I will let you know exactly. So they run one Los Vacuum and they ran one Pumpkaboo, so 2 outs to Path to the Peak. So Lugia was grabbed, and is this a capture energy? No, I'm not sure. Maybe this was a Vigard energy. I kind of missed it. So here Mew has 2 main goals here. One is to set up, and the other is to find Path to the Peak. That's basically what they need to do here. So if they are able to find these 2 pieces, they are pretty much in a good position, I would say. They are pretty much in a good position. So Genesect B is going to be grabbed. I am very curious to see the amount of Path to the Peaks that they have. Oh, 2 power tablets are in the prices. Ooh, well, still, you can technically win by just using 2, but it's still not something very that the player is going to be very pleased about. And double Path to the Peak is on the deck. Okay, so now the decision is whether you go for Mew or whether you go for another copy of Genesect. It's so difficult sometimes, right? When you play Mew and you somehow miss the possibility of drawing your 4 copies of Battle VIP Pass, everything is like playing a different game. So yeah, that's going to be the decision. So Mew was in the end grabbed, and then we will either see... Oh my god, how cool is that? So the judge is called arbitro in Italian. That's something that I love. Oh, and that was a very lucky Genesect, in the sense that now they can properly set up, and it was decided that they wanted to... they have prioritized, which is interesting, they have prioritized the second Mew instead of the third they prioritized the third Mew instead of the third Genesect. However, things are looking, I would say, pretty good here. Things are looking kind of good here, because you can now, what you can do at this stage is you just promote a Mew, so you ensure to have free retreat, and if you truly wanted to, you could use Genesect's ability, well, not the ability, but the Forest Sealstone ability to grab a Path to the Peak. And looks like this is what we are going to see here. So Path to the Peak hits the field, and now it's up to Lugia. At this stage, the Mew player has done what it has to be done in the Lugia matchup, and it's basically up to Lugia. Has Judged and Path to the Peak being an effective combination, shutting down the possibility of using Lugia? We will see. We will see in just a second. They need to draw Pumpkaboo, they need to draw the Lugia V-Star. But now Lugia V-Star looks like it's going to... Oh no, Arceus. So Arceus was grabbed here. Maybe because they have an Ultra Ball, or maybe because they have Professor's Research in hand. Let's see what is going to be the play here. So a second Lugia hits the field, which is interesting. Remember that under Path to the Peak, no Luminion can be used. So the only way for you to get abilities back is by drawing it to Pumpkaboo or the Lost Vacuum. Those are the only two options. Capture Energy gets attached onto the... Oh, interesting. So what they are going to do is to use Read the Wind, which is providing some extra... which is providing some useful capabilities here. And now that Yveltal threatens, the problem that I see here is that clearly that Yveltal is threatening that Mew. Mew is going to go ahead and use Technoblast to get the first KO, but I'm a bit concerned because if Lugia is able, and chances of Lugia drawing into something good are kind of high after those 3 extra cards. If Lugia is now able to get the Pumpkaboo or the Lost Vacuum and evolve into Lugia V-Star, then that Mew is going to go down. So let's see what happens here. Yveltal has been promoted into the active position, but the Lugia player is taking a lot of time to think about what they want to do. Okay, so Evolution in Sands, this is going to grab a Lugia V-Star for sure, or that is what I would imagine. So yep, there it is, the Lugia V-Star. Now it evolves, and will it be able to use the Start Alchemy? Yes, looks like it will, because unless Pumpkaboo is priced, which it's not, so Pumpkaboo is going to hit the field, and now Yveltal is going to be able to use its incredible attack, which I don't remember the name, but it's going to be able to use its attack to directly KO Mew. And now, through that, Mew will able to have access to draw cards again, but I feel that at this stage, Lugia is leading, and especially unless they are able to use or to find Oricorio pretty easily, things are not going to be very easy for Mew. I feel that this is, at the end of the day, how this matchup goes. The amount of turns that Lugia can... how many turns you can make Lugia lose. after you use the back to the peak plus the back to the peak combination combo with the judge. So let's see what happens here, because you of course need to evolve the Mew VMAX. There is no other option, and you need to KO that Yveltal. If you leave that Yveltal in the field, you know that it's going to continuously take price after price, and that's not something that you want to see. So Mew here is looking at what are the options here. Big Parasol, it was a bit of a pity that Big Parasol was not attached onto the active Mew, but it was in the first turn. The tool that was attached was, of course, the Choice Belt. So let's see what are the options here. And I would imagine also that the Lugia player has some sort of supporter card in hand, because they decided to get rid of one Professor's Research. So that might hint that they have a Professor's Research in hand, or something very good that they don't want to get rid of. So Mew VMAX is going to evolve here. Okay. Another possibility here to maybe try to even the things is to use double Power Tablet and use Psychic Clip to take that Mew back into the deck, and then, I don't know, put in something in the active position. But on the other side, the issue that I see with that game plan is that you are kind of admitting or accepting the fact that your opponent is going to take 2 prizes. So, well, anyways, Lost Vacuum is going to be played just for the sake of drawing more cards. That's basically what we are seeing here. Sky Seal Stone has been sent to the Lost Zone. Now, an Ultra Ball is going to be able to get another Pokemon, and in this case, I think Oricorio here could have been a good choice, but it's clear that they are looking for something, so that's why it was decided that it should be Genesect. Very interesting. Oh, maybe they were looking for that. Maybe they were looking for Roxanne. Maybe they were looking for the Roxanne, which is something that is now live since the opponent has taken 3 prizes. Now, the only issue I see here is that, yeah, truth, you can Roxanne your opponent, which is going to be pretty effective as disrupting kind of their hand. But Lugia does not need a hand. As long as Lugia has 2 Arceus on the field, that's all that they need to keep spamming attacks. And if Lugia is able to get 4 powerful energies, they directly KO Mew. And that is a bit concerning, if I am not mistaken. That is a bit concerning. Because if Oricorio is not on the field to protect Mew, I am not sure. Well, it really depends on the amount of energies that are in the prizes from Lugia side. So, Fusion, Strike. By the way, I love how abilities and names sound in Italian. That's so cool. Anyway, so Mew is going to attack with not with Technoblast, so getting a new turn. Now, how many powerful energies are in the deck? If there are enough, this game can be over right now. This game can be over right now. Lugia deals 220 damage. 220 damage plus it deals plus 80 is still okay. They need to find the choice. Sorry, my bad. They need to find the choice. However, there are options to find the choice. What are they saying? Double Power Tablet, yeah. So I think that if Lugia has a way to get access to that Choice Belt, they basically win. And let me check very quickly for you the amount of Choice Belt. They run 1 Choice Belt, but they run 1 Irida, and they run double Lumineon. So it's very possible that, well, depending of course on what they've drawn into, the game is over right now. If not, I still believe that Lugia is in a really dominant position because they can now attack Mew. they will have a difficult time dealing against that Lugia, and they will be forced to use Psychic Leap to kind of heal it back. And if not, all that Lugia needs to do is to find a boss's orders to finish off the game. So Arceus is taking its time, but we see, okay, so no powerful energies, so it means that they don't have an access, I would imagine, that they don't have access to a way, to KO that Mew right now. So they are just setting a powerful attack and preserving energies for maybe an Arceus. That's it, so 260 damage. And now it's up to Mew to do something. Of course, you cannot leave that Mew here. If you do that, you probably lose. So at this stage, all that you can do is to retreat the Mew and pray. You need to retreat the Mew and pray, and maybe you could even try to hit heads on Cramorant and draw a second copy of Path to the Peak. Because if you do that, it's true that Luminion will be turned off, making it more difficult to target down the Mew on the bench. So it will all come down to whether the opponent has the possibility or not to get out of the Path to the Peak lock. So Power Tablet was grabbed here. They still need another Power Tablet to make things happen, or to at least get a KO on that Lugia. So Genesect will draw one card. Oricorio is not exactly what you want to see here. How many Power Tablets are there? Aren't there any more Power Tablets? Have them all been used? Not entirely sure. Okay, there is the Path to the Peak, which could be important, I imagine, at some point. So they are just going to retreat. And unless I am missing something, they are still missing one Power Tablet to KO that Lugia, right? So Fusion Strike. Okay. So yeah, exactly. They were falling short. So that's why they decided to just attack with 130. But look at that. So boss's orders was there, and it seals the game. So the finals is going to be Lugia against Arceus. Not Arceus, sorry. It's going to be Lugia against Flying Pikachu and Arceus. Very, very interesting game. But in the end, I think that the matchup between Mew and Lugia is defined by who starts first, mostly, and who draws better. But, well, that's something that you can say about every deck, basically. So, we are going to go into the final game. Let me see who's sharing the screen, and we'll get directly into it. And I cannot wait. I honestly cannot wait. I want to see who is the winner of this late night event. That so far is I think that is going it's going very well, and it looks very, very, very exciting. So give me a second and we will get started with the final game of the night. Hooray! So there we are, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we have all been waiting for, the final game of the finals from this late night series in Europe. We have the almighty Lugia V-Star going against none other than Flying Pikachu with Arceus. So what else can I hope for than casting this amazing game, seeing this unique strategy, this unique build, and see how everything goes. So Pumpkaboo is the Pokemon that Lugia started with. Not exactly what you want to see, but also, oh my god, that is very, very, very powerful. So Flying Pikachu is into the active position, gets a Parasol attached that it's going to prevent Yveltal from knocking it down. But however, Arceus is nowhere to be seen. Is nowhere to be seen. So things are a bit complex here, because what you want to do is to start attacking and start locking your opponent as soon as possible. But I don't know if with the current hand that is something that will be easy to achieve. Anyways, so Lugia is clear that they want to set up, discard a couple of Archeops, send them into the discard pile, bench a Lugia, and then second turn activate the V-Star ability and basically go from there. So they are checking what is on they are clearly checking what's on the deck with that evolution in Sand. And Flying Pikachu does not have many options other than going for Marnie next turn, basically, unless they top deck something. So Ultra Ball is now going to be played, sending two Archeops to the discard pile, and this is basically like the dream opening of every Lugia player in the world. Lugia V is going to be grabbed and going to be benched. Maybe we will say a Capture Energy, which will round up everything even more. Choice Belt gets attached onto Lugia, and another Ultra Ball, which I imagine will go for Lumineon. Yes, that's it. So Lumineon gets targeted, and Lumineon is probably going to find Professor's Research, unless they want to use Marnie, because they think that that their opponent have something very, very, very cool in hand, but that is not the case. So Professor's Research gets player, giving so many options. Now, it is important to note that two energies have already been discarded, one powerful and one rainbow energy. Now, the question I have is, will Flying Pikachu be able to attack this turn? They have the possibility to use Trekking Shoes to maybe thin out the deck a little bit more. So, do they want to use Boss's Orders? No. And the Quick Ball? Okay, so the Quick Ball is good in the sense that it can thin out the deck a little bit. But still, everything is going to depend on that Marnie, to be perfectly honest with you. Another possibility here would be maybe, just maybe, to grab... Oh my god, so... no, I thought that all the Arceus V were prize bet. Not at all. So, the thing is that without access to a Start Birth, now, you really need to rely on that Marnie. And you really need also to be a bit lucky in the sense of that Marnie breaking your opponent. So, okay. So at least they have a bit of an option here, because Path to the Peak was drawn, and we know that Pumpkaboo cannot be used anymore because they opened with it. So it is possible that Lugia is not able to get over Path to the Peak. It is maybe possible that they are not able to get over Path to the Peak. Oh, one Temple of Shino, that's also a pretty cool one. So I imagine that they will discard one Path to the Peak. That would be my guess, yes. And they try to thin out the deck a little bit more, maybe grabbing another Arceus or another Flying Pikachu, or... yeah, let's see what is grabbed here. Let's see. So Tapu Koko V, okay, and is the energy going to be attached? Yes, into the Archeops. No, sorry. You need to understand that Arceus and Arceus are kind of similar at some point, but anyways. Oh, so it was decided that Flying Pikachu would just attack. Okay, attack and deal some damage onto that Pumpkaboo. Okay, interesting. And it has paralyzed poor Pumpkaboo. It's not that it was going to do anything bad. Okay, so another energy now gets drawn. What do you do at this situation? You are basically in top deck mode. So you decide to basically attach the energy to Arceus. Yes, and I think that's good. So I think that's perfectly fine. You thin out your deck as much as you can. Your opponent is in a difficult situation because they don't have a lot of options to deal against Path to the Peak, and you can power up the different attackers that you have basically, which is pretty good. Which is honestly pretty good, and you are relying on the double turbo energy to attack with Flying Pikachu. Now, the good thing about that is that if you're able to somehow top deck an Ultra Ball, or if you're able to top deck something, oh, interesting. So boss disorders start getting down Flying Pikachu. Okay, so does that mean that they are going to retreat into... I'm trying to understand the reasoning for bringing Flying Pikachu into the active position, because if you think about it, it has free retreat. So I'm not entirely sure what this was done, but okay, so energy was attached into Flying Pikachu, and now what do you do in this situation? The Arceus player is seriously bricked. An Ultra Ball or things like that. Oh my god, no! So, oh my god. So just like that, I guess that Lugia was not contemplating the possibility of Pikachu having an energy in the hand. So now, even if you're able to get rid of Path to the Peak, you basically you're over. Oh my god, and now they can even continue and KO the second Lugia, because they can get rid of Path to the Peak, they can use Starbirth, and they can attack, they can use boss disorders and KO that Lugia, and with that, you basically win the game. So the game can be over just now. The game can be over right now. Let me check if there is like a secondary effect on the on Tapu Koko's attack. Let me check very, very quickly, unless they have like a restriction of you cannot use this attack. Yes, so during next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. So basically you will need to evolve into it. You basically need to evolve into it. Into the VMAX, if I am not mistaken. So Arceus here can grab a boss disorders and can grab the VMAX, and that's basically it. You KO Lugia because there is no Dunsparce on the field, and you win the game. Because they don't have time to set up. They don't have time to properly set up. That would be my guess. So boss disorders gets grabbed, and is the Tapu Koko VMAX on the deck? Yes, the Tapu Koko VMAX is on... Oh. Okay, or well, I guess that this is another option. So instead of attacking with Tapu Koko VMAX, you go ahead and attack with Flying Pikachu. No. So that was... It looks like they are going for that play. And I think that's totally... that's a really, really good move. It should shield the game, because they don't have enough time to set up another Lugia, and by the time they do so, you will be only one prize away from winning. So I feel that's pretty much it. Even if Lugia is able to somehow come back into... No, that was it. So they decided to scoop up, and wow, Tapu Koko with Lugia. Tapu Koko with Arceus and Flying Pikachu is leading the series 1-0. Oh my god. That was very intense. That was very, very, very intense. So let's see now game number 2, which in this case, of course, I think that Lugia is going to go first, and things are going to be very different if Lugia goes first. Things are going to be very, very different. So game number 2, let's see. Also, it was pretty unfortunate the fact that Lugia opened with Punkaboo, because the only way then for them to get rid of the stadium is to manually draw the Lost Vacuum, and that's something that does not happen every time. Now, however, I really think that Lugia has now a lot of chances to win the game, because they can pull off a second turn attack and get rid of a V Pokemon and then KO a V-Star and then use just some casting effects to get over it. Amazing Yveltal is the Pokemon that starts in the active position, which might be used at some point to get rid or to try to deal with Flying Pikachu, but we will see, because remember that this deck plays Parasol. And also another very important thing that I believe to be very interesting or very worth highlighting is the fact that Arceus has opened with a double to raw energy, which means that you can go ahead and attach 3 basic energies everywhere on your field. But for the time being, it's Lugia's time to play. So we see an Ultra Ball that has discarded, if I am not mistaken, a Professor's Research and an Arceus, and they are grabbing a Lugia V. Okay, so Lugia V is going to be played on the bench. Now they decided to, that's interesting, so they decided to spend the Aurora energy onto the Yveltal, discarding the Stoutland, which I think it's not going to be especially useful in this type of matchup. So now it's time for Pikachu to set up. And ooh, that's bad. So there are 2. So if I am not mistaken, there are 2 Arceus that are on the prize cards. Okay, well, maybe I feel that in this type of situation, what you want to power up are your lightning type attackers. That's what I would imagine. Now you attach the big Parasol, I imagine, into the... Yeah, because you have to make a choice. So do you protect Flying Pikachu or do you protect the Arceus? So if you spend the big Parasol on the Arceus, you're kind of forcing your opponent to spend some energies to retreat that Yveltal and to attack you with Lugia. So it's true that generally speaking, it's true that Flying Pikachu is going to be more important or more challenging for Lugia to deal with, but at the same time, I feel that it is going to be very good if you force your opponent to invest more energies into the Yveltal and to retreat it. Also knowing that they play 2 copies of Big Parasol. Now, what it is being decided is whether they keep the Arceus V start or not. This is a decision. It's about you kind of betting on your opponent being stuck, but no. So in the end, it was decided to send it to the discard pile. And the option here, I think it's to go for Professor's Research, because you need resources and you need to try to set up other attackers, but nothing out of this world. True that if you really wanted to, you can use Ultra Ball and maybe find a copy of Tapu Koko V Max. Sorry, a copy of Tapu Koko V. Maybe that's something that we're going to see. Discarding perhaps, the Serena and the double turbo energy. And of course, like, that's the only Pokemon that you can go for because you have no other basic Pokemon in the deck. Or you just use it to see what's out there and you... Okay, so they decided to grab Arceus V Star. So I agree with that, but I think it's a bit of a risky bet. But because Lugia can easily take it down. But if Lugia, for whatever reason, is not able to set up properly, now that Arceus V Star will, as we've seen, be the perfect weapon to destroy Lugia. Just like that. So another energy gets attached onto Yveltal, and now Professor's Research. Now Professor's Research needs to find Lugia, the V-Star, and ideally the possibility of then sending another Archeops to the discard pile. So is that something that's doable? Let's see. There are still plenty of balls. The only thing is that there are only 3 copies of an Ultra Ball. So you need to manually draw into the Archeops and the Ultra Balls. So let's see what happens here. And even if you do that, you are kind of forced to sacrifice the 2 Aurora energies. And Yveltal will no longer be a threat. Yveltal won't be a threat, and you will have a lot of issues dealing with that flying Pikachu. It's true that you can always attack it with maybe Arceus, but it's not the best of the ideas to attack with your Arceus. So unless we see the V-Star, the Summoning Star, right now happening, I see that Lugia might be in trouble. So Luminion makes an appearance, but however, they already played a supporter. So I imagine that they are just preparing themselves for the following turn. Okay, so they grabbed the Professor's Reserve for the following turn, and this is huge. This is absolutely huge, because now there are plenty of things that Arceus can do at this situation. They can either target the Luminion and KO. They can start attacking with Flying Pikachu and KO. They can even get rid of Yveltal if they really wanted to. Or they can just attack the Lugia V and use the V-Star ability to use Path to the Peak. I don't know, there are so many options. And let me tell you, none of these options are great for Lugia. So it looks like Path to the Peak is going to be the choice here. Pretty interesting. Path to the Peak is going to be the cards grabbed by Arceus V. And I wonder here, how are they going to attack? Because they can either attack with Arceus and power up something, or they can just use Boss's Orders onto something. If they truly wanted, I guess that they could use Boss's Orders. Let's see what is going to be the option here. Okay, so they decided to target a Lugia here. Okay, well, that I guess that also works. But if you do that, it's because you're going... exactly. If you do that, it's because you're going to retreat and you are going to attack with Flying Pikachu. Now, there is still... The problem that I see here is that Lugia has still things to say in this game. What you can do is, if you're able to find the lone copy of Lost Vacuum, you can get... Well, you need to find a couple of things. Truth be told, you need to find a couple of things, and that's not exactly what you want to... That's not going to be easy, because you need to find the V-Star, you need to find the Punkaboo, and you need to find the Lost Vacuum. And if you bench the Punkaboo, the problem is that you will only have a space for one Arceus. And with access to just one Arceus, I think it's going to be very difficult to win the game. But let's see. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens here. Luminion was promoted and a capture energy has been attached. Look at that. Look. So 3 Professor's Research had already gone to the discard pile, and still we are seeing just one Arceus on the discard pile, which is not... No, it's not the ideal setup for Lugia, is it? But that Ultra Ball is going to help things move into a different direction. So now the problem is, if you are in Lugia's position, what do you prioritize? So do you play the Punkaboo in that situation? So renouncing to the possibility of playing double Arceus? That's a little bit the issue here. So Punkaboo was grabbed. Now, because Dunsparce was benched, now Lugia V-Star can effectively use its ability, but one Arceus, just one Arceus, is going to hit the field. It would be very maddening if they had the Lost Vacuum, but looks like they didn't. Looks like they don't. And you know what? I feel that if the Arceus player Boss's Orders that Yveltal, which is the only, well, not the only real threat, because they still need to deal with Lugia. Well, that's true. They need to deal with Lugia. So let's see, because they also, very interestingly, they have access to Temple of Shino. So, and we know that Punkaboo has already been used. So there are a couple of things that this player can go for. They can either target down that Yveltal and get rid of something that can be a menace in the long run, or they do that. or they directly do that. They KO the single Arceus, and yeah, they KO the single Arceus, and what do? So what does Lugia do at this situation? How do you attack? How do you attack? How do you power up your attackers? What is left for you here to do? Maybe, I guess that if you... No. I was going to say that maybe you could stall a little bit the game, maybe trying to use boss's orders onto the Arceus B star and hope for the best by maybe throwing manually and powering up your Yveltal. But wow, I am so happy, so happy for having had the chance to cast that amazing run. I have to say, and this is not being particularly in favor of any player, but I am very happy to see unique decks making into the finals and showing the potential that they have. Tapu Koko with Arceus is a very powerful combination that for some reason has seen a lot of play in Japan, but has never been very used here in when it came. But if you look at it, it is a deck that has a lot of options, that runs Flying Pikachu, which can deal with Lost Box, can deal with Regigigas, as we've seen on the stream, and also the combination of Path to the Peak with Flying Pikachu is a nightmare for Lugia. So congratulations to player Ito, if I am not mistaken. Congratulations to our player Hino, who is the late night champions, beating Lugia 2-0 and showing how powerful Tapu Koko and Flying Pikachu are in this metagame. I really hope that you guys had a nice time during this casting. I really enjoyed a lot. So the last thing that I wanted to remind you is that if you want to keep checking action like that, you can always subscribe to the Team Shuffle Squad YouTube channel, because we have a lot of amazing content here. And if you want to participate yourself in these kind of tournaments, they are for free. All that you need to do is to have an account in Pokémon TCG Online, and then in the following weeks we will migrate all to live, and you are competing for getting a paid trip to Japan to potentially play the Pokémon World Championship. So if you get the chance, I highly recommend you to play. So that is it. That was all from my side. Thank you for being here with me for the last couple of hours. I really hope you enjoyed. If you have any feedback for me personally, I will be more than happy to read or to check it afterwards. And with that being said, I wish you a happy rest of your day or a happy rest of the night. And also, we have the late night North American edition starting very soon. So that is all. This was Elena speaking. So have a nice one. Bye bye.